You know that sick feeling when you open the door and see badges? Yeah, that's not something you forget. But the real gut punch came when they asked for my husband by a name I'd never heard before, and showed me a photo of the man who'd kissed me goodbye that morning. My name is Belle Caldwell. I'm 34, teach third graders in Overland Park, and apparently married a man who doesn't legally exist. Not doesn't exist in the philosophical sense. I mean, the guy literally fabricated an entire identity, complete with social security number, driver's license, and 6 years of anniversary dinners at Olive Garden. How'd I find out? Oh, just when 2 stone-faced detectives showed up at my door on a Tuesday morning asking for Mr. Marcus Caldwell, and I saw the arrest warrant with my husband's face attached to the name Douglas Renner. I actually laughed. Not like a haha that's funny laugh, but that unhinged sound you make when your brain refuses to process information. That's not his name, I told them, still holding my coffee mug with little apples on it because I'm a teacher and we're contractually obligated to own kitchenware with fruit. Detective Sarah Grimshaw, sharp-eyed woman with a blonde ponytail that screamed, "I've seen worse," exchanged a look with her partner. "Ma'am, how long have you known Douglas Renner?" "I don't know Douglas Renner. I know Marcus Caldwell, my husband, who left for a sales conference in Denver 2 days ago." The other detective, Tom Vargas, pulled out his phone. "Is this your husband?" There was Marcus. My Marcus. Except the photo showed him at a birthday party I'd never attended, with his arm around a woman I'd never seen, and 2 little boys blowing out candles on a Costco sheet cake. That's when I sat down. Not gracefully. Just straight collapsed onto my kitchen floor like someone cut my power cord. Here's the thing about living in suburban Kansas. Everyone's life looks identical from the outside. Nice houses, clean lawns, people waving from their driveways. Marcus and I fit that mold perfectly. He was the guy who remembered to take the trash out on Thursdays, who grilled burgers for the neighborhood block party, who kissed my forehead before his business trips. We did the whole American dream checklist, got married at a barn venue in Lawrence, honeymooned in Cancun, argued about whether to get hardwood or keep the carpet, hosted Thanksgiving for my parents. 6 years. 6 entire years of marriage, and the man's name wasn't even real. "Mrs. Caldwell," Detective Grimshaw said gently, crouching beside me, "we need you to understand something. The man you know as Marcus Caldwell is actually Douglas Renner. He's been under investigation for bank fraud, identity theft, and bigamy." Bigamy. I said the word out loud because maybe if I heard it, it would make sense. It didn't. The woman in that photo is Joelle Renner. She's been married to Douglas for 4 years. They have 2 sons together. She lives in Tulsa. Tulsa. 3 hours away. The same distance as Marcus's regional office that he visited twice a month like clockwork. My hands started shaking so badly I had to put down the coffee mug. "That's impossible. We have a joint bank account, a mortgage, car insurance. We file taxes together, all under the name Marcus Caldwell, which doesn't exist in any federal database," Vargas said. "Your husband created that identity using a sophisticated combination of stolen documents and fabricated records. He's done this before." Before? The word hung there like a noose. "How many times?" I whispered. Grimshaw hesitated. "We're still investigating. But we've identified at least one other attempted identity in Springfield, Missouri. Not yet executed, but the groundwork was laid. We think you and Mrs. Renner interrupted his timeline." I started laughing again. Couldn't help it. "So what you're telling me is that while I thought my biggest problem was convincing Marcus to finally replace the water heater, he was actually laying groundwork for a third wife?" Neither detective laughed. They'd probably seen this before. The hysterical woman discovering her life was a lie. Standard Tuesday for them. "We need to ask you some questions about your financial accounts," Grimshaw said. "We believe Douglas has been using your identity to open credit cards and bank accounts without your knowledge." Of course he had. Why stop at just faking his own identity when he could commit bonus fraud using mine? They spent the next 2 hours going through everything. Turned out Marcus had opened 7 bank accounts I never knew about, applied for 12 credit cards in my name, and somehow convinced banks that Belle Caldwell desperately needed a second mortgage on a house I didn't own. The estimated damage? North of $300,000. "The other wife," I said, still sitting on my kitchen floor because standing felt overrated. Joelle, does she know? We informed her this morning. She's processing. I bet she was. I want to talk to her. Grimshaw frowned. That's not standard procedure. I don't care about procedure. This man married both of us. Used both of us. If she's got half a brain, she's sitting on her kitchen floor right now wondering how the hell she married a ghost. I want to talk to her. They exchanged another look. The kind that says they know this is a terrible idea, but also may be necessary. Grimshaw pulled out her phone. I'll contact her attorney. Attorney, right. Because I needed one of those now too. After the detectives left, with promises to return for more questioning and a stern warning not to contact Marcus Douglas directly, I did what any rational person would do. I opened Facebook. It took me 10 minutes to find him. Douglas Renner. Same face, different name, complete with a profile full of family photos I'd never seen. There he was at a Little League game, at a school play, at a 4th of July barbecue with sparklers and watermelon. Comments from friends, neighbors, co-workers, all congratulating Douglas on being such a great dad, such a devoted husband. And there were photos from my life too, on what I now realized was a separate Marcus Caldwell profile. Same man, same smile, completely different existence. Our wedding photos, our vacation to Colorado, me kissing him at a New Year's Eve party. 2 lives, 2 wives, 2 complete fabrications running simultaneously, like he was managing franchise locations of the same restaurant. I scrolled through every photo, every comment, every check-in. Douglas in Tulsa on a Tuesday, Marcus in Overland Park on a Wednesday, Douglas at his son's birthday on Saturday, Marcus at my school's fundraiser on Sunday. The coordination alone was impressive. Psychotic, criminal, and morally bankrupt, but impressive. My phone rang. Unknown number. I answered. Is this Belle? Woman's voice, shaky, scared. Yes. This is Joelle Renner. I think we need to talk. Meeting your husband's other wife at a Panera Bread off I-35 wasn't exactly how I pictured my Wednesday going. But then again, I also hadn't pictured discovering my marriage was an elaborate fraud, so clearly my life planning skills needed work. Joelle Renner walked in at exactly 2 o'clock, and I knew it was her immediately. Not because we'd exchanged descriptions, but because she had that same shell-shocked look I'd been wearing since yesterday. The "my entire existence just got punked" expression that no amount of concealer can hide. She was younger than me, early 30s, blonde, pretty in that effortless way that probably made Douglas think he'd upgraded. She spotted me in the corner booth and walked over like she was approaching a car accident. Couldn't blame her. This was weird for both of us. Belle? She said quietly. Joelle. I gestured to the seat across from me. Want some coffee? I ordered a whole pot, figured we'd need it. She sat down slowly, like the chair might explode. For a solid 30 seconds, we just stared at each other. What's the etiquette here? Hallmark doesn't make a card for, sorry you married the same con artist I did. Your hair's different than in the photos, she finally said. I cut it last year. You have kids. 2 boys. Tyler's 6, Brandon just turned 3. Her voice cracked. Douglas, Marcus, whoever he is, he's been there for every birthday, every soccer game, every parent-teacher conference. Yeah, well, Marcus never missed our anniversary dinner. Always got me flowers. Remembered my mom's birthday. I poured coffee for both of us. Apparently, being a lying sociopath doesn't preclude thoughtfulness. Joelle let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. The detective said he's been doing this for at least 6 years. That means he was already married to you when he married me. Yep, you were the other woman. Congratulations. I didn't know. Relax. I'm not blaming you. We're both victims of the same con. Although technically I'm the first victim, so maybe I get seniority in the support group. She almost smiled. Almost. How are you so calm? Oh, I'm not. I ugly cried for 4 hours last night, drank a bottle of wine I was saving for a special occasion, and apparently my husband having a secret family counts, then spent 3 hours cyberstalking your life on Facebook. I know way too much about Tyler's baseball team now. I did the same thing, Joelle admitted. Your classroom looks really nice. The apple theme is cute. Thanks. Your kitchen remodel is gorgeous. I tried to get Marcus to update ours, but he always said we couldn't afford it. I paused. Guess now I know where the money was going. Her face darkened. The detective said there are fraudulent accounts, credit cards. I've been getting calls from collection agencies for weeks, but Douglas kept telling me it was identity theft and he'd handle it. He told me the same thing. Turns out the identity thief was him, stealing from both of us to fund his double life. I pulled out my phone and showed her the spreadsheet I'd started. I've been tracking everything. 7 bank accounts between us, 12 credit cards, 2 mortgages on properties neither of us has seen. The man was running a financial empire built on lies and apparently really good credit scores. Joel stared at the spreadsheet. He opened a home equity line on our house without telling me. $50,000, gone. He took out a personal loan using my teacher's pension as collateral. We sat there, 2 women discovering that while we thought we were building lives with a man we loved, he was systematically robbing us blind. The worst part? Joel said quietly. I was happy. I thought we had a good marriage. He was attentive, present when he wasn't traveling for work. My friends were jealous. They'd say, "You're so lucky Douglas is such a great husband and father." Marcus brought me coffee every Sunday morning. He'd get up early, drive to that fancy place downtown, and bring back my favorite latte. Never complained about it. Douglas coached Tyler's t-ball team. Marcus helped organize the school fundraiser. Douglas built Brandon a treehouse. Marcus learned to make my grandmother's pot roast recipe. We were trading husband accomplishments like baseball cards, trying to reconcile the man we knew with the criminal being investigated by the FBI. Did he ever... Joel hesitated. Did he ever mention wanting more kids? All the time. Said he wanted to wait until we were more financially stable. I laughed bitterly. Guess it's hard to have a 3rd kid when you're already raising 2 in another city. He told me he wanted a daughter next. He told me he wanted 2 more at least. That lying son of a... Joelle caught herself. Took a breath. Sorry. I'm trying not to curse in front of my kids, and apparently the habit's sticking. I get it. I teach 3rd grade. If I curse, I lose my job. But I've been thinking some very creative non-profanities. I leaned forward. Here's what I can't figure out. The logistics. How did he manage 2 complete lives? 2 houses, 2 families, 2 sets of friends and neighbors? Joelle pulled out her own phone. I've been mapping his schedule. He told me he traveled for work Monday through Wednesday every week. Regional sales meetings. He told me Thursday through Saturday. Regional sales meetings. We laid our phones on the table side by side. His schedule emerged like a magic eye picture. Perfectly orchestrated chaos. Monday through Wednesday with Joelle in Tulsa. Thursday through Saturday with me in Overland Park. Sundays alternating, with elaborate excuses about last-minute work emergencies or visiting his sick mother. His mother, I said suddenly. Vera. In Wichita. She's real? According to the detective, yes. That's where they arrested him. Joelle's eyes widened. His mother knew? Has to. You can't maintain 2 families without someone helping with alibis. That woman sent my kids' birthday cards, Joelle said, voice rising. She babysat Tyler when I had Brandon. She came to our house for Thanksgiving and told me how lucky Douglas was to have found me. She came to our Christmas dinner last year and told Marcus how proud his father would be. I felt anger replacing shock. His father, who died in a construction accident when Marcus was 20. Douglas told me his father died of a heart attack when he was 18. Of course he did. Probably has a whole menu of dead dad stories depending on the audience. A manager walked by, noticed we'd been sitting with 1 pot of coffee for an hour, and gave us a look. I ordered 2 sandwiches we wouldn't eat just to keep our table. The detective said there might be a 3rd identity, Joelle said. In Springfield. Yeah. Apparently we interrupted his expansion plans. Should we feel honored? I feel sick. Same. But mostly I feel angry. I met her eyes. He made us both look stupid. He stole from us, lied to us, and probably laughed at how easy it was. Your friends thought you had the perfect husband. Mine thought the same. We were showing off a man who doesn't even exist. What do we do? Joelle asked. Legally? We both file for annulment since the marriages are fraudulent. We cooperate with the FBI investigation. We sue for damages. We rebuild our credit and our lives. And personally, I smiled, not a nice smile. Personally, we make sure everyone knows exactly who Douglas Renner really is. His friends, his family, his co-workers, every single person who thought he was a stand-up guy. We burn his reputation so thoroughly that when people Google his name, they get a masterclass in sociopathic behavior. Joelle looked at me for a long moment. Then she smiled too. Same, not nice smile. I like the way you think. Good. Because I already contacted a divorce attorney who specializes in fraud cases. Her name's Meredith Cross. She said she'd represent both of us if we wanted. Both of us. We're stronger together. And honestly, I'm done competing with you. We didn't choose this situation. He did. So, let's make him regret every single choice he made. Joelle reached across the table and shook my hand. Firm grip. The handshake of a woman who just found her backbone. When do we start? Meredith Cross had the kind of office that screamed, "I've destroyed men for breakfast." Glass desk, leather chairs, a wall of law degrees from schools that cost more than my car. She was 50-something, silver hair and a sharp bob, and the type of woman who could make a grown man cry just by raising one eyebrow. Joelle and I sat across from her on Friday afternoon, 2 days after our Panera summit, while she reviewed the documents we'd brought. Bank statements, credit reports, marriage certificates, photos, text messages. Our entire lives with Douglas Renner/Marcus Caldwell laid out like evidence at a crime scene. "This is impressive," Meredith said, not looking up from her reading. "Most women in your situation are too emotional to organize. You two came prepared." "We're teachers," I said. "Organization is literally our job." "I'm a teacher," Joelle corrected. "Belle teaches elementary. I teach high school English. Different skill sets, same neurotic need for labeled folders." Meredith smiled slightly. "The FBI investigation helps your case significantly. Federal charges mean serious prison time. But I want to be clear about something. Annulment will be easy. The marriages are legally void since he committed fraud. Getting your money back? That's harder." "How much harder?" I asked. "He spent it. From what I can see, Douglas funneled funds through multiple accounts, made cash withdrawals, and likely has assets hidden offshore. Even if we win a judgment, collecting is nearly impossible from a federal prison." Joelle's face fell. "So we just lose everything?" "I didn't say that." Meredith leaned back in her chair. "There are other avenues. His mother, for instance. Vera Renner. If she knowingly participated in this fraud, providing alibis, receiving stolen funds, she's legally liable. Can we prove that?" I asked. "The FBI is investigating her now. She owns the house where Douglas was arrested, mortgage-free. She drives a brand new Lexus despite being retired on a fixed income. Her bank records show regular deposits from accounts we've traced to Douglas. She knew. I thought about Vera at our Christmas dinner last year, complimenting the decorations, hugging Marcus, telling me what a wonderful wife I was, the whole time knowing her son had another wife 3 hours away." "What about his employer?" Joelle asked. "He worked for Summit Sales Group. That's real, right?" Meredith flipped through papers. "It's real. But Douglas Renner never worked there. Marcus Caldwell did. Except Marcus Caldwell doesn't exist. He used a fabricated identity, fake references, and forged documentation. When Summit ran a background check, they checked a ghost. So the paychecks?" I said. "Came from Summit, made out to Marcus Caldwell, deposited into accounts under that name. All technically legal from Summit's perspective. They had no idea they'd hired a phantom." Joelle leaned forward. "But they employed someone who doesn't exist. That's got to violate something." "It does. Corporate negligence, potentially. But Summit's lawyers are good. They'll argue they were victims, too." Meredith paused. "However, there's one thing Summit cares about more than legal liability: reputation. A regional sales manager maintaining 2 families while defrauding clients and coworkers? That's a PR nightmare." I saw where she was going. "You want us to go public. I want you to control the narrative. Right now, this is a quiet FBI investigation. Douglas gets arrested. Maybe it makes local news for a day. People forget. But if two articulate, sympathetic women tell their story, with documentation, photos, a clear timeline, that's national news. Talk shows, podcasts, viral social media. You want us to humiliate ourselves publicly? Joelle said. I want you to humiliate him. There's a difference. Meredith pulled out her tablet, showed us a mock-up. Coordinated Facebook posts. Same time, same day. You each detail your relationship with Douglas, include photos, tag mutual friends and family. Make it impossible to ignore. My stomach twisted. Everyone will know I was stupid enough to marry a con artist. Everyone will know you were the victim of a sophisticated criminal, Meredith corrected. And more importantly, everyone will know who Douglas Renner really is. His friends, his family, his next potential victim. You're not just getting revenge. You're preventing this from happening again. Joelle and I exchanged looks. The kind of look that passes between people who've been through hell together. There's something else, Meredith said carefully. The FBI found evidence of a third identity in progress. Springfield, Missouri. Name Douglas was planning to use. Marcus Pritchard. Creative, I muttered. They found an apartment lease, a P.O. box, and dating app profiles. Active profiles. Messages with at least 4 women. The coffee I'd drunk earlier threatened to come back up. He was already looking for wife number 3. Likely yes. Which means this wasn't about love or family. This was compulsive behavior. A pattern. And patterns don't stop unless they're forcibly interrupted. That's when it hit me. The real scope of what Douglas had done. This wasn't just fraud. It was systematic predation. He hunted women, married them, bled them dry financially and emotionally, and was already setting up the next victim before the current ones got suspicious. I want him destroyed, I said quietly. Meredith nodded. Then let's destroy him properly. Legally, financially, and socially. I'll coordinate with the FBI to maximize criminal charges. You two coordinate with each other to maximize public exposure. I have contacts at several news outlets who'd be interested in this story. What about his mother? Joelle asked. We sue her separately for aiding and abetting fraud. Even if we can't prove direct involvement, the civil standard is lower than criminal. We can make her life expensive and complicated. Good, Joelle said. Hard edge in her voice I hadn't heard before. She sat at my kitchen table and lied to my face while my kids called her grandma. She called me sweetie, I added. Told me I was the daughter she never had. The whole time knowing her son had another daughter-in-law in Tulsa. Meredith made notes. Emotional manipulation, exploitation of familial trust. That plays well in court and media. Juries hate accomplices more than primary criminals sometimes. She outlined the plan. File for annulment immediately. Cooperate fully with FBI investigation. Document everything. Every lie. Every fraudulent charge. Every moment of the double life. Prepare a joint statement. Coordinate social media exposure for maximum impact. Then lawyer up for the civil suits. This will take months, Meredith warned. Maybe longer. Douglas will be in federal custody, but the legal process is slow. Are you both prepared for this to consume your lives for a while? I thought about my third graders, my neat little classroom, my routine life that had been shattered. Then I thought about Douglas in Springfield, chatting up some unsuspecting woman on Tinder, planning to do this all over again. I'm prepared, I said. Me too, Joelle added. Meredith smiled, the kind of smile a shark makes before attacking. Good, because we're going to make Douglas Renner wish he'd never heard either of your names. We spent the next 2 hours going through details. Meredith had us write out everything. First meeting, proposal, wedding, every anniversary, every lie about work trips. She wanted a comprehensive timeline comparing our relationships side by side. When we finally left her office, it was dark outside. Joelle walked me to my car in the parking garage. This is insane, she said. Completely. I never wanted to be famous for being a con artist's wife. Same. But if we're going to be humiliated anyway, might as well take him down with us. She laughed. Actual laugh. You know what the worst part is? I still have photos of our wedding on my living room wall. I look so happy in them. I have a whole album, leather-bound, monogrammed. Cost $300. What are you going to do with it? Bring it to the FBI as evidence. Then maybe burn it. Haven't decided. I unlocked my car. What about you? I'm leaving mine up. Want my kids to remember what their father did. When they're old enough to understand, they'll see those photos and know exactly what kind of man he was. Dark, but fair. Joelle, I said before getting in, thank you for not hating me. This would be a lot harder alone. Thank you for not hating me. And for having such a scary good lawyer. She is terrifying. In the best way. I drove home thinking about everything that was coming. The legal battles, the media attention, the inevitable moment when my colleagues and parents of my students found out their cheerful third-grade teacher had been married to a bigamist. But I also thought about Douglas in a federal holding cell, realizing that the two women he'd underestimated were about to dismantle his entire existence. Turns out teaching skills transfer. Patience, organization, attention to detail, and the ability to explain complex things simply, all incredibly useful when destroying someone's life legally. Who knew? We went live at exactly 9 a.m. on a Monday, coordinated down to the minute like a military operation, which, considering Joelle and I had spent 3 weeks planning this, wasn't far off. My post went up first. Professional photo of Marcus and me at our wedding, both of us smiling like we'd won the lottery. Caption: 6 years ago, I married Marcus Caldwell, except Marcus Caldwell doesn't exist. Let me introduce you to Douglas Renner, bigamist, con artist, and the reason you should always run a background check. Then the thread. 20 posts detailing everything. Photos from our life together with timestamps. Screenshots of bank statements showing fraudulent accounts. Side-by-side comparisons of his lies. I tagged everyone. His friends, his alleged co-workers at Summit Sales Group, people from our neighborhood, my family, even the guy who sold us our lawnmower. 60 seconds later, Joelle's post dropped. Same format, different photos. Her wedding picture showed Douglas in the same suit he'd worn to marry me. Apparently, he only owned one nice one. Her caption? Meet my husband, Douglas Renner, father to my 2 sons. Also husband to Belle Caldwell, 3 hours away in Kansas. Neither of us knew about the other. Both of us were paying his credit card bills. Her thread was even more detailed than mine. She'd included photos of Douglas at Tyler's baseball games with timestamps that matched work trips he'd told me about. Screenshots of text messages where he claimed to be in Houston while simultaneously posted at Brandon's 3rd birthday party in Tulsa. The internet did what the internet does best. Lost its mind completely. Within an hour, we had 500 comments between us. Within 2 hours, a local news station in Kansas City called. By noon, we were trending on Twitter. Not the good kind of trending. The holy hell you need to see this kind. Summit Sales Group's corporate office called me at 1 p.m. Poor HR lady named Sharon sounded like she was having a stroke. Mrs. Caldwell, we need to discuss Marcus Caldwell's employment. You mean Douglas Renner's fake employment, I corrected pleasantly. Since Marcus Caldwell is a fabricated identity, and your company somehow didn't notice during 6 years of employment. Silence. Then, we're conducting an internal investigation. That's nice. My attorney's conducting a lawsuit. Tell your legal team to expect paperwork. I hung up. Felt good. Probably shouldn't have felt that good, but I was past caring about corporate feelings. Joelle called 5 minutes later. Did Summit contact you? Yep. You? Just got off the phone. They're panicking. Apparently Douglas used company credit cards for personal expenses across both our lives. They're trying to calculate damages. Good. Let them panic. They hired a ghost and never verified his existence. Belle, we're on Good Morning Kansas City tomorrow. They want both of us. My stomach flipped. Live TV? 9 a.m. segment. They're sending a car. She paused. We don't have to do this if you're not ready. Might. I thought about Douglas. Wherever he was right now. Probably hearing about our posts. Probably realizing his carefully constructed double life was being torn apart in real time by the 2 women he'd underestimated most. I'm ready. Let's burn this thing to the ground. The TV interview went viral. Not because we cried or screamed, but because we didn't. We sat there, calm and collected, walking the host through Douglas's con with the kind of detailed precision usually reserved for financial audits. We had props, timelines, a literal poster board showing his schedule with our faces on different days of the week. "So while he was at your son's baseball game," the host said to Joelle, "he told you," she turned to me, "that he was where?" "Sales conference in Houston," I said. Sent me a photo of a hotel room that reverse image search revealed was stock photography from Marriott's website. The host's jaw dropped. The control room kept the camera on her face for what felt like an eternity. Pure gold for ratings. "And his mother knew?" the host asked. "Vera Renner is currently under FBI investigation for aiding and abetting fraud," Joelle said. "She attended events in both our lives, met both our families, and somehow never mentioned her son had 2 wives. She told me Marcus was her only child and she was so grateful he'd found me," I added. Real heartwarming stuff. After the interview, my phone exploded. Messages from people I hadn't talked to in years. Some supportive, some nosy, some just wanting gossip. But 3 messages stood out. First, from my principal. "Belle, take whatever time you need. Your job is secure. We stand with you." Second, from Joelle's principal. Similar message. Apparently both our schools were rallying around us instead of distancing themselves. Decent humans still existed. Third, from a woman named Lily Shaw in Springfield, Missouri. "I think I had been dating your husband before his arrest. I just saw your posts and recognized him. Can we talk?" Turns out Douglas's Springfield plans were further along than anyone knew. Lily was a 36-year-old dental hygienist who'd been seeing Marcus Pritchard for 4 months before the FBI caught up with him. They'd met on Bumble. He'd told her he was divorced, and they'd been talking about moving in together. When Douglas disappeared suddenly, right when he was arrested, she thought he'd ghosted her. Seeing our posts months later made everything click into place. She saw our posts, recognized his face immediately, threw up in her office trash can. Her words, "I'm so sorry," Lily said when we video called her that night. Me, Joelle, and this shell-shocked woman in Missouri. "I had no idea. He seemed so normal." "They always do," I said. "That's the whole point. He told me he worked in medical equipment sales, traveled a lot for work." Joelle and I exchanged looks. "Let me guess," Joelle said. "Sundays and occasional weeknights?" "Exactly. How did you—" "Because he was with me Mondays through Wednesdays, and with Belle Thursdays through Saturdays. You were filling in the gaps." Lily looked like she might be sick again. "I almost moved to Springfield for him. I was looking at apartments." "Did you give him money?" I asked. "He borrowed $5,000 last month before he vanished. Said his car needed emergency repairs and his bank account was temporarily frozen due to fraud." She stopped. "Oh my God." "Yeah," I said. "Welcome to the club. Membership sucks, but at least the company's good." Lily joined our lawsuit. So did Summit Sales Group. Once they calculated that Douglas had embezzled approximately $80,000 in fake expense reports over 6 years. So did a credit card company, and a bank, and somehow a timeshare company in Florida that Douglas had scammed using yet another fake identity. The dominoes kept falling. Vera Renner was arrested 3 weeks after our posts went viral, charged with conspiracy to commit fraud and money laundering. Turns out the regular deposits in her account totaled nearly $200,000, money Douglas had funneled from his various cons and stashed with his mother for safekeeping. Her arrest photo made the news. She looked exactly like you'd expect, entitled, furious, and utterly shocked that actions have consequences. Douglas's sentencing hearing was in January, 3 months after our social media exposure. Federal Courthouse, downtown Kansas City. Joelle and I both gave victim impact statements. So did Lily. So did 7 other women the FBI had found, women Douglas had dated, scammed, and discarded over the years before perfecting his bigamy routine. He got 15 years. Federal prison. No parole. When the judge read the sentence, Douglas finally looked at us, me and Joelle, sitting side by side in the gallery. For 6 years, he'd kept us separated, kept us ignorant, kept us controlled. Now we were together, and he was the one in chains. Joelle reached over and squeezed my hand. I squeezed back. The prosecutor told us later that our social media posts had been crucial. They'd prompted 12 additional victims to come forward, provided documentation the FBI hadn't found, and created a public record that made plea bargaining impossible. "You two made my job easy," she said. "Most fraud cases are hard to prosecute because victims are embarrassed and stay quiet. You went loud. That's brave." "Wasn't bravery," I said. "Was spite." She laughed. "Whatever works." Summit Sales Group settled our lawsuit for undisclosed terms, but enough that both Joelle and I could pay off our fraudulent debts with money left over. Vera's assets were frozen and being liquidated to pay restitution. We wouldn't get everything back, but we'd get enough. More importantly, Douglas Renner's name was now permanently associated with bigamy and fraud. Every Google search, every background check, every future interaction he'd have for the rest of his life would be colored by what we'd exposed. He'd made us look foolish. We'd made him infamous. Fair trade. 2 years after Douglas's sentencing, I'm sitting in my classroom on a Friday afternoon, watching my third graders pack up their backpacks with that chaotic energy only 8-year-olds possess. One of them, sweet kid named Emma, stops at my desk. "Miss Caldwell, my mom says you're really brave." I look up from grading spelling tests. "Oh yeah? Why's that?" "Because of that bad man you were married to. She saw you on TV. That. Even 2 years post-sentencing, it still follows me. Not in a bad way, mostly, but in that, oh, you're that Belle Caldwell way that makes grocery shopping occasionally awkward." "Well, tell your mom thank you," I say. "Now go catch your bus before it leaves without you." She grins and runs off, ponytail bouncing. The thing about surviving something like this is that people expect you to be either destroyed or completely healed. They want dramatic trauma or inspirational triumph. They get uncomfortable when you're somewhere in the middle, which is where most of us actually live. I'm not destroyed, but I'm not the same person who opened her door to those detectives on a Tuesday morning either. I'm harder now, more suspicious. When I finally started dating again last year, terrifying experience by the way, I ran background checks on every guy before the first date. Paid $40 each for comprehensive reports. My friends thought I was paranoid. Then I found out one of them was still legally married. So who's paranoid now, Jennifer? Joelle and I still talk weekly. We've become genuine friends, bonded by the world's worst origin story. She's dating someone too, a high school football coach who apparently thinks the whole "my ex-husband was a bigamist" thing is a fascinating conversation starter at parties. To each their own. Her boys are doing okay. Tyler's 8 now, Brandon's 5. They barely remember Douglas, which Joelle says is both a relief and somehow sad. They call their grandmother the lady who went to jail, which is accurate if not particularly nuanced. My parents still apologize for not seeing the signs. I tell them there weren't any to see. That's the whole point of con artists. They're good at what they do. If they seemed shady, they wouldn't catch anyone. My dad did suggest I should have been more careful. That conversation ended with me explaining exactly how victim blaming works and him sleeping on the couch for a week. He's learned since then. The lawsuits wrapped up 8 months ago. Final tally. I recovered about 60% of what Douglas stole from me. Not everything, but enough to rebuild. Joelle did slightly better, 70%, because she caught more of the fraud earlier. Vera served 18 months before being released on parole. She lives in a small apartment in Wichita now, works at a dry cleaner, and reportedly tells people her son was framed by vindictive women. Some people never learn accountability. They just learn to be quieter about their delusions. Summit Sales Group implemented new verification procedures. Apparently, nearly destroying a company's reputation motivates policy changes. Who knew? As for Douglas, he's got 13 years left on his federal sentence. He'll be 53 when he gets out. I'll be 49. Joelle will be 46. Lily will be 51. The 7 other women he scammed will all be living their lives while he eats prison food and thinks about his choices. Sometimes I wonder if he thinks about us, if he regrets it, if he understands the magnitude of what he did. Then I remember, probably not. People like Douglas don't process consequences the way normal humans do. He's likely got some elaborate internal narrative where he's the victim and we're vindictive harpies who overreacted to a few mistakes. Which is fine. He can believe whatever he wants in his cell. I'll be out here living my actual life. The weirdest part of all this? I'm genuinely happy now. Not inspirational survivor, happy, just regular happy. I like my job. I like my small house that I own entirely by myself with no hidden mortgages. I like knowing exactly where my money goes. I like dating men whose names are actually their names. It's a low bar, I know. But after Douglas, low bars feel like achievements. People ask if I'm angry. I was. Furiously, consumingly angry for months. But anger is exhausting. Eventually, you either let it destroy you or you metabolize it into something useful. I chose useful. That anger became the fuel that exposed Douglas, protected other women, and rebuilt my life. Now it's just this distant thing, like remembering you were once afraid of the dark but can't quite recall why. What I learned: trust your instincts, but verify your facts. Love doesn't require blind faith. It requires informed consent. And if someone's life seems too perfect, too convenient, too accommodating, they're either a genuinely exceptional human or they're hiding something massive. Statistical probability favors the latter. Also, women are stronger together than men give us credit for. Douglas thought separating us was his power move. Turned out bringing us together was his fatal mistake. Joelle sent me a text last week. Remember when our biggest problem was deciding between hardwood and carpet? I wrote back, now we can't decide between laminate and vinyl. Growth. She replied with a laughing emoji. We've earned the right to laugh about it. So here's what I'd tell anyone going through something similar. You're allowed to be devastated. You're allowed to be angry. You're allowed to feel stupid even though you're not. But eventually, you have to decide if you're going to stay a victim or become a survivor who makes really great choices about flooring. I chose survivor, with excellent laminate and a comprehensive home security system. Because once someone breaks into your life uninvited, you make damn sure to lock the doors properly next time. My classroom's empty now. Just me and 23 spelling tests with creative interpretations of the word restaurant. I pack up my bag, turn off the lights, and head home. To my house, with my name on the deed, and absolutely nobody else's. Turns out, the happy ending isn't finding the right person. It's becoming the right person for yourself, and installing really good locks.